Thanks for listening to the AI for Sales podcast with host Chad Burmeister. This episode is brought to you by BDR.ai, Nooks.ai, and ZoomInfo, the go-to market intelligence platform. Nooks.ai is the agent workspace for intelligent outbound. By pairing human judgment with AI execution, reps focus on relationships, not busy work. Join Intercom, Deal, and over 1,200 customers who use Nooks AI dialing, coaching, or multi-channel AI sequencing to double their pipeline. And ZoomInfo gives your revenue teams the data and insights they need to find, engage, and win their best customers, helping you move faster, work smarter, and grow revenue at scale. Want an introduction to one of our sponsors? Head to www.scr.ai/intro and unlock your direct line to more closable pipeline, powered by AI. Until next time, keep leading the AI for sales revolution, and remember, in sales, time kills deals. But in AI for sales, AI kills time.
Welcome to the AI for Sales podcast. I'm Chad Burmeister, your host, and it is a beautiful, bright, and shining day here in Castle Rock, Colorado. And I have my new friend, Jonathan Grzybowski, who's the CMO and co-founder of PENGIE, an Inc. 5000 creative subscription service that empowers businesses, agencies, and teams with affordable top-tier creative talent. And I've visited the website. I've seen the work these guys do, and it's off the charts. I have to believe there's a little bit of AI involved, so I'm excited to dig into that. He's also a storyteller and host of Dear Dads, now known as Working Dads, and Free Ideas, where he shares insights on entrepreneurship, leadership, and family life. And with a less than 2-year-old, I think 18-month-old at home, those are important things that we think about as dads at this time. So I love that you've blended entrepreneurship with being a great dad, and I applaud you for the work that you're doing. So Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. I always said, like, for the longest time, I would always introduce myself as like the co-founder and business professional. And I feel like, as I became a father, it's sure that's important, but I think dad life is probably the best job in the world. So
dad's the most important. I still have a little chain that my daughter gave me in my bathroom that I just have on the counter, reminding me every day when I wake up that is the most important job, and all of it, everything else.
100%. 100%. Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more.
So, and with AI going on these days, it's interesting because as we prioritize our children and look at the world they're faced with, I think for about a year there was a little bit of concern that, is AI going to take over, and will be walking robots in the street serving all our booze at the bar and taking every job. And I think we're slow playing the rollout of this quite a bit slower than I think a lot of people made it out to be. But I'd love to with you.
I would agree with that to a degree. But I think the capabilities still remain true. And what I've realized throughout my use case of AI and also implementation in the business, et cetera, two things. Number one, the people that are bad at their jobs are going to be replaced regardless. So, I guess I don't have two things. It's just one thing, but that's basically it. Like, if you're just bad at your job, or if you're just doing grunt work, or if you're just doing jobs that are completely replaceable, you shouldn't have been hired in the first place. But at the same time, there are businesses that just make decisions based on the needs at that exact moment, and PENGIE is certainly no different, and not shy of that at all. But with the use case of AI, if you do it correctly, you can not only decrease workforce, but also improve efficiency dramatically. And I think we've done a relatively good job at that from a sales perspective. From a production perspective, I think we could do a lot better. When I say production, I mean like actually deliverable of service. But from a sales standpoint, I mean, like, how can you be bad at sales with AI? Like, if you're bad at sales using AI, you just suck as a human. Like honestly, like you really can just, you either can't read, you're illiterate, or you just don't know how to tie your shoes. Like sales is so much easier now with AI. Now the conversion is still human to human, but in terms of the information that you can gather using AI is just astronomically better, and you can be more informed as a salesperson now than ever before.
Yeah. Well, and I'd love to dig into some of these outcomes with you because it's always interesting to really put the numbers around it, right? If a BDR team, for example, is delivering, 6 or 7 opportunities in a month, and then pre and post AI, what are they delivering after, or marketing, and go into those use cases. Before we get there, I'd love to ask the first question, Jonathan, and that is, how has AI transformed the customer experience? So flip it. Think about your customers, but then think about their customers, right?
Yeah.
How has this AI given the customers a better experience in this post AI world we live in?
So for us I'm going to answer this in two. So I'll start with the production piece. We do use AI from the production piece, but we actually ask our customers whether they want us to use AI or not. And if they want us to use AI, then they're going to be able to receive things a little bit faster. But it's not going to be of like the highest quality in the world, because we all know, AI is producing pretty good quality for the most part, but it's not necessarily hitting like exacts. So if the customer comes back to us and says, well, this is shit. Well, okay, maybe it is, but guess what? You chose AI. So therefore, like, what do you want us to do? Um, our job is to ultimately produce that level of quality. And unfortunately or fortunately, quality takes a little bit more time than like 30 seconds that you could ultimately do from AI. So usually from a production standpoint, we send a couple of examples using AI, and then we also send a customized piece that we would ultimately design ourselves. That's number one from an experience standpoint. From a support standpoint, and then I'll get to the actual question, the support standpoint, we actually don't use AI at all. And I'm very proud of that. And that's very specific that we don't use AI at all. Because if a customer has a problem, especially entrepreneurs or business professionals that are very, very protective of their business is their baby. They don't want an automated response or some type of like half-baked response. They want a human to be able to acknowledge and have empathy and understanding of the needs of the business. And so we do use AI in the sense that you'll receive a response that may be curated from AI, but in terms of the person doing it and sending it, it's all done by hand. And that's a whole nother debate and conversation that we could probably automate that. I don't want to, because I think that lessens the experience and the connection that we have with our customers. But how they're, like the customers, I mean, that's a really tough question. I don't particularly know, to be honest with you, but I don't necessarily see a downtrend at all from our customers at all. The people that want to use AI instead of PENGIE, they're not a good customer to begin with. So therefore, we don't want to work with them in the first place. So if they leave because of AI, good. They're probably going to churn anyways.
Got it. That makes sense. When you're talking about production and building the type of content that I see on your website, do you also help the customer optimize the channels that it gets posted to and conversion rates and all of that, or does that normally done inside of their own department?
Primarily their own department. However, what we've noticed as a business is that a lot of our customers actually want that level of connectivity. And so we've actually created a new service that allows us the ability to do so. So we have like a general like hire us type of service, which is around $1,000 a month. And so if you wanted to bring on a team of really talented, creative professionals, then it'll be $1,000 a month. And for the most part, that's unheard of in order to be able to hire somebody for that inexpensive. But we're able to do so based on our efficiencies and our technology and everything else in the back end. Then there's another product that we sell that basically is a little bit more intimate, I'd say. And it's us instilling AI processes and procedures in addition to creative processes and procedures, how they blend together, but you'll have an art director that manages it all for you. So if something is not on brand or if something needs to be on brand, you have an art director that you can communicate with in real time and be able to chat with them and talk to them and edit and make the modifications. But yes, to that point of posting and things like that, that's what that ultimate service does, and it requires a little bit premium pricing.
That's where I wonder if the AI could really set apart the service that you're offering, because It's just like when I just literally had mulch delivered to my house this morning, and I had a guy come out and he walked the property and he's like, okay, this is going to be 10 hours of work for me. And I was like, 10 hours? I normally buy like 3 loads of bags and get it done in an afternoon. This is
Yeah.
not a 10-hour job. And then he goes, we can buy it wholesale from this other place. Well, then he tells me later, oh, I can do it in 6 hours if you need to cut your costs, and I can buy the bags from Home Depot for half off because they have a half off special. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, well, that's cool. And that makes me think of AI. Now, I didn't end up hiring them. I bought the bags for half off at Home Depot. They're delivered, and then my son's coming down to help me spread the mulch later that afternoon.
Absolutely.
Save the 500 to 1,000 extra dollars. But
100%.
my point is, as a provider, when you're using AI, there could be a lot of optimal pathways, like the Home Depot half price bags, that you can't just find on the internet, right? A service like yours can help people decide which audience am I going after, if I'm going on LinkedIn or Facebook or all these different social channels. That's where I wonder if the helping them demystify their audience. Once you produce this really good content, I would think that the AI optimization to get them to revenue, not just pipeline that doesn't close, but how do we optimize that whole, order to cash situation? AI might be able to play an interesting role there.
I think so. I'll be perfectly transparent. Our service is not necessarily geared for that specifically because we've always been more or less like a ordering system. So, for example, somebody wants a burger, they submit the burger, then burger is delivered. But I think with the more curated experience, I think that's what our customers are starting to ask for a little bit more. So I do agree. I think that's where we as a business will ultimately trend and go towards. But as of this writing, we're not there just yet.
Yeah.
But I
Makes
do
sense.
see a need for it, and I think it can be. I think the problem that a lot of people have isn't necessarily I wish more people were like you in that regard, where they are thinking about the strategy and the numbers. I think most people, when it comes to content, is just more like just churn, like just churn and burn, like just go. I need 50, 100, 200 pieces of content, and I need to edit it, and I need to edit it now and deliver to me in my doorstep in 1 hour, right? Like that's kind of where we're at in terms of like a marketing piece. But in the end, I think the people that we want to work with and talk to are probably the people that are more on the, like, we can't say no to any customer, right? Like if a customer comes through, like we'll help them regardless because we're an online service and you can use your credit card and sign up wherever you want. But for the most part, in terms of like the curated experience, we want to talk to people where we can get intimate and have like fun conversations with.
Yeah. I went skiing in the backcountry 3, 4 years ago with the founder of a company that competes in your world. And, to your point about the $1,000 a month, I think they were $2,500 to $4,000 a month. And they give you up to a certain number of pieces per month, mostly unlimited, but obviously with some gates around it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about maybe a success story where when you went in and said, hey, for $1,000 a month, you get this. And then what were they doing before and how did their lives change? Deadlines, costs, whatever.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give one of my favorite examples, and I can't necessarily bring the name up, but I'll dance around it so you can kind of put two and two together. It's a company that ultimately it is not your sister's printing company. If you can kind of put two and two together, you'll figure that out. They had basically used it. They had an internal team that took all of the advertisements of their products and basically did everything manually. And it took days to weeks in order to turn 600 pieces of ad material into workable pieces of art. They pay us our premium pricing in order to have that more intimate experience, so to speak. But they're able to reduce like 80% of the timelines from working with PENGIE versus working with their previous company/team. because what they were able to produce in 2 weeks to a month, we're able to produce in 5 days. So, and this actually is a most recent example. It happened Friday. They submitted the project on Monday. They needed it done by Friday. It was 680-ish ad designs for all of the different major players like Best Buy, Amazon, Staples, and stuff like that. And they had to take their products and put it onto the website. But every single website has different variations and forms and sizes and things like that. So I would say that's probably like the perfect case study that if you need help in that regard, don't use your existing team, because the existing team most likely was paid in order to do creative thinking. Whereas if you need some help with that aspect, you can easily outsource anything that doesn't necessarily require the most creative brain, and that you just need somebody to do the work for you. And I think that's where like PENGIE fits pretty nicely.
Love that analogy. It makes me think of this person that I had on a podcast probably 2 episodes ago, worked at Alibaba, the big Amazon of China.
Yep.
And she said that she remembered the day when she was working there where they flipped the switch on AI ability to hundreds of thousands of products. And it used to take weeks and months to do everything. And then they turned the light switch on and it was like, boom, real time, better, faster, cheaper. And I love how you've blended it with humans and AI to say, hey, here's the AI version for certain channels or programs. The AI powered version is probably just fine. But for certain high touch, more creative, then you've got you deliver both. So I love that approach.
I think that's the future of AI, to be honest. I think it's a worker inside your business that if you're a small business, one person that understands AI to the fullest capacity. And if you don't have that person that understands AI to the fullest capacity, then you need to use a service like PENGIE in order to have that person that understands AI to the fullest capacity, so you can consistently be a player in your space. And then that person in particular is using AI and AI agents and agentic workflows, whatever it may be, in order to execute whatever the goals are, the sales goals or the growth goals of the company.
Yeah, totally. We've got this LinkedIn tool that we use. It's a Canadian company, and we exploded to 75 licenses. And what I find is if you give a license to 75 individuals, it's a bell curve. 10% rock, 70% are somewhere not even in the middle. They're probably a C delivery, and then 20-30% are a D. So we had to, we originally had 125 licenses, collapsed it to 75. Now it's, hey, there's only 25 or 30 of the 75 actively really getting value out of it. What I've been proposing the entire time is one person managing 50 licenses, doing it exactly the right way is the way to go.
I could talk about this topic for hours. The reason why I was so excited about talking on this podcast in particular is like the things that I've learned from AI and using services like N8N and using make.com type of nodes and workflows that allow you the ability to just like completely eliminate like unnecessary things and friction in the business. And I can give you an example. And I this may be controversial, but I'm a pretty honest, transparent person. If you don't like me, so I'm not saying you, but if you don't like me, I don't really care. Like I'm gonna continue doing what I do because I have my goals and I have my aspirations and mission as a human being, and I'm not gonna stop in order to do it. But I went up to every single person in the company and said, "How fast are you?" Not everybody in the company, the salespeople in particular. I said, "How fast are you?" They said, "Oh, pretty fast." And I said, "Are you faster than me?" And they said, "I don't know, maybe." And I said, "Okay, great. Well, guess what? I'm going to find a way to replace your job using AI. And you either find a way to beat me to it, like don't beat me to it or not. And if I beat you and I replace your job, then guess what? There's a possibility. I'm not going to say you're fired because I don't think that's the right thing to do. But I will say that you will be removed from this task and you will be delegated to another role in the company." And from that point, it sparked. There's about like 7 to 10 people that like I manages this one particular area of the company. And from that particular I guess threat. I don't know. It's just kind of motivation, to be honest with you. Um, it sparked 3 people to kind of say, okay, cool. This is the NAN workflow that I'm going to do. They went into Claude. They created their own workflows entirely. And those 3 people are now leading the AI space and pushing us forward in order to send 10,000 plus messages on LinkedIn on a monthly basis and over 100,000 emails on a monthly basis in order to get to our core ICPs.
Love it. Yeah, we had a guy that was doing Excel spreadsheets, drag and drop, and spending 10 hours every 2 weeks just doing manual tasks.
Yeah.
And I pushed him and said, I love the outcomes that you're delivering. You've been doing this for a decade here, and you're advanced beyond every other reasonable person on the team. How do we scale that? And, we'd bring him out, train the team. And it was like, what are you talking about? I can't do this Excel spreadsheet. I don't have the 10 hours every 2 weeks. I have a life. I can't do that. So what this caused the person to do is work with our IT team and our data governance, data integration, all of that's Informatica. That's what we do, right? We help companies do that. So we have an internal staff, and we help build this tool called AI Prospector that writes the emails using the philosophy that he had, that gets better open rates, better reply rates, and it fashions it to the business pain of the person based on their title. It doesn't talk about the bells and whistles. It just talks about here's what your pain is and here's how we solve it. Does it make sense to get 15 minutes? But it's all AI generated. And he took all that 10 years of effort and spent probably 120 to 200 hours building this amazing AI. But now that piece of code can be planted inside. Right now it's in SalesLoft. It could be planted in Salesforce Agentforce. It could have a home wherever it needs to go, and it's going to live for a long time.
Nooks.ai is the agent workspace for intelligent outbound. By pairing human judgment with AI execution, reps focus on relationships, not busy work. Join Intercom, Deal, and over 1,200 customers who use Nooks AI dialing, coaching, or multi-channel AI sequencing to double their pipeline.
So you're saying that you created like a skill. You created a skill more or less of all of the information of this particular human being and their data sets. Is that more or less what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah.
100%. That's exactly what we've done. And I've done that on 2 occasions actually. So every podcast that I get, that I go on, and I take the recording and then I put it in an Excel spreadsheet basically, and then I basically have created a skill that if I wanted to write a piece of content, I can reference the skill and then tell the AI what I'm looking to do, and then it will generate basically verbatim my cadences and my stories that I tell on these podcasts. But I'll also, because I kind of speak in a more urban city-ish type of style, whereas it'll basically cater exactly how I speak. And that one right there is like one of the best things that I've personally created on AI, because now I can think a little bit more clearly about the content that I'm producing and create some things that are genuinely me, but not necessarily have to go on the hours of research in order for me to create that piece of content, if that makes sense. And then the second thing is exactly what you just did. We have a version of that as well. But the only difference is that for us is we have phrases and words that you cannot say. And then it'll allow us the ability to say, like, I can't give you a very specific example, but there's like phrases that constantly AI brings up or uses that's just beyond annoying. But in addition to that, it kind of says like, no fluff, no this, no that. Like it'll kind of go like that, boom, boom, boom. And then in addition to that, AI will constantly kind of use 2 or 3 things as a comparison. And so we eliminated all that speech. So it's basically every single email that we send or message that we send is more or less 3 sentences long max.
Yeah. I mean, you're inspiring me to go create more skills and workflows. And there's times where I'll personally get pushed into a corner and say, all right, I just got to do this. And then it's so refreshing when you take the time, just like the podcast skill that you just talked about. So remind me,
It's
I'll
like your
send you
mulch,
this
actually.
recording after the
Please
show.
do. Please do. It
Yeah.
all goes back to mulch at the end of the day. You'll feel
It
so
all
much better
starts with
after
the
you
mold.
put that mulch down, and instead of somebody doing it for you, you just do it yourself, and it ends up being beautiful and awesome.
Yeah, right. I mean, in 5 years, it'll probably be a robotic arm, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah, I really hope not. I mean, I really like, genuinely speaking, I think AI can and will revolutionize the world, but I think to get on my soapbox very briefly, I do think there needs to be some type of government um legislation about this, because it can remove a lot of jobs. And I really, really hope that we can use AI effectively. It doesn't necessarily replace too many jobs. It creates new jobs, but it also promotes us touching grass.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the Iron Man suit analogy that just makes you a better version of yourself. I'm on board with that because the AI for Sales podcast originally said at the top, artificial intelligence for sales. We crossed out the word artificial after the first year and maybe, I don't know, 50 guests once a week. And I think we doubled it at one point. It was probably 75 guests because we had too many people on the show. And so we
Nice.
crossed out artificial and made it augmented intelligence.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
where I think the world kind of, when I went through that 7 years ago, that pivot and transformation, I think the world is about the same point right now that I already went through 7 years ago, right? Where
Yep.
you go, oh, it could be artificial and we'll just do everything automated. And then you go, no, it's more to make the humans better. So I think that's what we're seeing in the marketplace is that realization that it still comes down to human interaction.
It's really funny that you said augmented, because that's the phrasing that we're using as well in our day-to-day, conversations internally, and also how we sell PENGIE to our customers as well, is using the word augmented. So it's refreshing to hear somebody else use that word, because, not at least for me, in my background, like my experience, I haven't really heard too many people use the word augmented instead.
Yeah, no, most people think of AI and they think of artificial. The next question I always ask, and we've already touched on it, but maybe you can drill down to an example. How do you balance AI automation and maintain the personal touch in customer interactions? I think that's where you talked about the augmentation and how the AI can help them do their jobs more quickly, but you give the customer choice. Any further thoughts on balancing?
Um, I think the question is, the balance comes in from, I'm trying to, because I have a couple of stories that I could bring up. If the team member doesn't understand your product, then they will probably use AI more in order to supplement their use or lack thereof brain activity. And if the person doesn't understand the product, then yeah, they'll use AI more, and in order to help with the customer interactions. But if the salesperson or support person is able to understand what it is that you do and sell and what they do and what their purpose is, I think the balance will be more distributed evenly than not. That, I hope
Yeah,
that
and you
helps.
you nailed it for me because we've had interviews lately a lot. We're filling 5 jobs. So we have to interview 10 to 12 people to interview five to hire five. And the ones that are good come from an area where you can tell they did the research, but they're talking to me as a person without just sitting there reading and typing into their notes. The worst ones are the ones that are using ChatGPT while we're talking, and they hear the question, and you can tell they just, and they go, hang on. And then they let the GPT finish the answer and then they read it. IDMC is called Informatica. Data Management Cloud. And they're just using pure GPT to do the answers to the interview question. I'm like,
Yeah. To that, I
whoa.
say,
Over the
please give
top.
me all of their names, and I will personally send them an email and tell them that they're stupid.
Well, we put their feedback in the recruiter notes, and so I don't know if they'll get that message directly, but they will certainly not be getting an offer.
Yeah, well, if they're listening to me, then I will tell them directly. If you're listening, sir or ma'am, you are not intelligent and you're not as smart as you think you are using ChatGPT, because guess what? You didn't get the job. So therefore, I mean, again, I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, but like, if you're really like, you got to just try. If you're not trying, then what the hell are you doing? Like, what do you are here for a job. You are here to do a task. So shut up and do the task.
We're the most intelligent supercomputers in history as a human, with the ability to analyze emotion, read body language, and do things that a computer just can't do yet. And probably will never be able to fully get to the level. They can't have empathy. So it's going to be, there's always going to be a gap between what can the wafer do and what can the human being do. So you got to program yourself before you program the AI, I would say.
Yeah, I have two stories to that. Number one, I did a podcast not that long ago, and the podcast didn't have video, which I think is a crime to begin with, but that's another conversation for another day. And the stories / interaction that I had with the podcast host was significantly worse than that of looking at you, Chad, and seeing your body language and gauging whether you like what I'm saying or like you don't like what I'm saying. And I can kind of vibe a little bit more based on that. So like having that interaction, I think, is like super critical. But before the conversation, I was like just on your website and just reading a little bit more about you and just about the company and stuff like that. And I think the one thing that's like super pertinent to me is like AI powered data. So like when you receive data, whether that be a data set from like a cold email or a data set from just like successes or failures, like you need to be able to interpret that. Like an AI will be able to help you along the way, but like at the end of the day, you have to intuitively understand what the hell it is that you're reading or what the hell that you're selling. So therefore, if you don't know any of that, I mean, like, you don't deserve the job or any job. Just go live in your mom's basement and hang out at home.
Yeah, exactly right. I must say, I'm happy we moved from Outlook to Gmail, and I can't even believe I'm saying the word happy in the same sentence as that move, because whenever you move your cheese, it's difficult, whether you love Gmail or you don't like it, but it's just new and different for me. But what I do love about it is the Gemini. I think it's Gemini that's reading my email before it goes out, and it's recommending grammar updates and all kinds of amazing things. And so I formulate it first, but then before I hit send, I just accept almost every single thing that it recommends. And I feel like that's where me and the AI are interacting to a level to say, okay, Chad, let's up level your skills so that the next time you send an email like this, it is better grammar, it has better punctuation, it's shorter. I love that.
Do you think you're wasting more time though by doing that?
It's only 10 seconds before I hit send, because most of my emails are to a group of 10 people replying all to a thread. And so I'll answer the question in 2 sentences with maybe a bullet or two. And then I see the blueprint and I say, accept, accept, accept. And I'm just getting to the point where it's almost accept all. Yeah. I guess there was a green button that just says accept all. Because
there's a couple of reports that I read that just came out today, and it was just like, I don't know the percentage, but like a lot of AI is the market is increasingly aware that AI is only going to get you to this point, and then you have to do the rest yourself. I do agree with you on the email thing. But I think I would probably agree with you in the sense that if it's like a group of 10 people, I think you probably should use it. But I think that if it's like one-on-one,
then you kind of want the human intricacies.
Yeah, Correct. But
Okay.
when it's like a corporate aspect of 10 people and like, you're going to be judged you're going to be judged on every email, but I think more on 10 people than you would on a one-on-one. I would probably agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I did actually on this example, it was 11 people. And I got a message back from my marketing peer that said, why did you CC all on the response? And they had CC'd all on the response first. But now, because it was written so well, I think it actually gave a, a feeling of this isn't my fault, it's marketing's fault. And that was not my intention. But I think the AI
Yeah.
may have made
Yep.
it feel like a
Yep.
corporate response rather than
Yep.
a human response, to your point.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting that you say that because I don't have the exact example of what you just said, but it literally happened last night. So within our sales funnel, we have people that go to our website, they're interested in our service, they sign up for a demo, right? We've always had the ability to become a customer directly online, ever. We've never had, like, if you want to become a customer right now, you go to PENGIE.co, you go to the pricing page, you select what you want, you put your credit card in, you get access to PENGIE within 30 seconds of this conversation, right? However, the person that was responding to an email from somebody that signed up for a web demo and wanted to schedule. They're like, well, guess what? I don't want to schedule the demo. I just want to become a customer right away. And we can have a conversation of whether or not that the friction points of the website are wrong and whatever. So she responded using AI blindly and said to the prospect, you have to sign up for a demo before you become a customer. And this person is like cash in hand, ready to go. And she's like, nah, I'm good. But she blindly used AI. So I said to her, I immediately got her on a call. I was like, what did you just say? And what do you think you just said? She said, and then she reverted back. She said that in order to become a customer, they have to go to the pricing page and they sign up with their credit card, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, read what you said again.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, okay, are you sure you said you mean what you said? Yeah. I said it. Okay, read it again. And then she read it and she goes, do not. I'm like, well, guess what? Because it was kind of a double negative. It was like a triple negative in the sentence. So
Wow.
it ended up being like, you don't have to, you can understand what the verb, but AI embedded the triple negative, which ended up becoming a negative, which told the customer that they had to sign a demo before becoming a customer. And that just simply isn't true. Wow. So to your point, like, again, AI can be great and Gemini can be great, but there are a lot of use cases that you can sway AI to answer the question that to answer the question in favor of your what's the word I'm looking for? Like your favoritism, like in favor of your bias. In favor of your bias, AI, you can easily manipulate AI to benefit the bias that you pre-existingly already have.
Yes. I heard Dan Martell talk about this the other day, and he said when it ships out of the box, it's, Jonathan, you're amazing. Your ideas are so good. And he programs the back end of the AI to say, act like a coach, be critical, and and really teaches the AI to challenge his thinking. So I think it comes down to a lot of the guardrails that we can put in place on these tools.
I actually disagree with Dan in that regard. I think that message, and I know you're loosely speaking, but I've heard similar people talk about it. I think that is a influencer trying to influence people who don't really understand AI how to use AI. Because like you can add a skill or create your own skill, or just say like, don't have this bias or have this bias or challenge me, et cetera, and you're still not going to be able to get the result that you're looking for. You will get it and then you will accept it and then it'll be trash. And then you'll be like, oh, I did it. I used AI and I did my task. Like, I personally don't think that that's how you should use
It really
AI.
depends on the situation, right? I mean,
100%.
it depends what outcome you're looking for. If you want to be challenged, great. Turn on the challenge button.
Sure.
So I guess it's just like in SDR land. I remember Trish Bertuzzi would always talk about this. How many meetings should an SDR deliver in a month?
Yeah.
Are they inbound? Are they SMB? Are they enterprise? Like AI use in general needs to be prescribed on the individual use case. Comes back to the individual.
Do you,
Well, we're running
I,
out of time. We've had an amazing conversation. I guess we talked about this last question is around skills for sales pros. How do you recommend to your team and to others? How do they go get skilled up in this new world of augmented intelligence?
I would say if so, there's the pre-call and the pre-call and the pre-call. I'm going to specifically talk about the people who have the meeting booked. I think the most important aspect of AI that you could use is to do enough research before you jump on a call with your prospective sales person. And I think instead of introducing yourself, I think you should use AI to come with predetermined set of problems that you believe that they have and confirm that on the call. And so you're more or less doing a presentation on your sales call rather than an introduction about yourself and the company. So for example, like what we do is we went from, and I was going to share this fact, we went from 34% conversion rates about a couple years ago to 62% conversion rates now on a demo call. And to me, I feel like that's a pretty darn good number. And so the reason why we were able to do that is because what we use AI is we basically comb the website. We ask AI to a prompt and things and skills and things like that. And it comes up with like what the potential problems are, what's listed on the website, like a whole report. And then we go over the report during the call, in addition to showing the problems how PENGIE solves those particular problems. And then after the call, we send them a set of tasks and things that they would want to do in order to make the decision easier. So for example, like a one pager or a page on the website, or even a prompt that they can send directly to their decision maker in order to help them make the decision for PENGIE. So we try and alleviate the friction as much as possible so that all they have to do is just like get the credit card and put it in. And so that specifically alone has increased dramatically.
Yeah, 2x when you're getting a return on the labor that you have employed, and you can get twice as many outcomes out of it. That's incredible. Well, Jonathan, really enjoyed having you on the show today. If people want to reach out to you, how would they find you?
PENGIE.co. You can email me anytime, Jonathan, JOHNATHAN at PENGIE.co. And Chad, this is probably one of the most fun conversations I've had in a while. And I appreciate you being really nerdy about AI. So thank you.
Yeah, man, I've enjoyed it. Well, we just wrote AI for Sales 2.0 with 250 podcast guests incorporated through Gemini and helped me write the book. And I'm so happy with the book. I had to read it 4 or 5 times before I was happy with the final production, but it did a good job of configuring it. So we are working on AI for Sales 3.0 with this next series of guests. So I'm sure some of our content will make it in AI for Sales 3.0 soon.
Cool, man.
All right, Jonathan, thanks for being on the show. And thanks everybody for joining another AI for Sales podcast.
Thanks for listening to the AI for Sales podcast with host Chad Burmeister. This episode is brought to you by BDR.ai, Nooks.ai, and ZoomInfo, the go-to market intelligence platform. Nooks.ai is the agent workspace for intelligent outbound. By pairing human judgment with AI execution, reps focus on relationships, not busy work. Join HubSpot, Deal, and over 1,200 customers who use Nooks multi-channel AI sequencing to double their pipeline. And ZoomInfo gives your revenue teams the data and insights they need to find, engage, and win their best customers, helping you move faster, work smarter, and grow revenue at scale. Want an introduction to one of our sponsors? Head to www.scr.ai/intro and unlock your direct line to more closable pipeline, powered by AI. Until next time, keep leading the AI for Sales revolution, and remember, in sales, time kills deals. But in AI for Sales, AI kills time.